Hello again. Today we're going to be checking out something new. I picked this up off of the internet. I'm not going to say the exact site, but easy enough to find. It is a Yaetek CK220 heated press. It's the manual version, so you don't have a hydraulic jack like some of them. You have a wheel and you use the screw in the wheel as mechanical advantage to increase the pressure you can apply at the plates. They're relatively inexpensive compared to the other ones that you might find on the internet, and that's a good selling point for a lot of people. It has all the same features as the other ones with the exception of the hydraulic jack, which it doesn't have. Quick side note, it would be easy enough to modify this to put a jack into it. I mean, the basic components are all there. You could quite easily make a couple of modifications, get rid of the wheel and the screw, and you would pretty much be able to slide a hydraulic jack, a low profile hydraulic jack in there quite easily. So it is upgradable for the astute do-it-yourselfer. Today we'll just get into the basics of it. I'm not going to go into really running it and creating products and stuff with it, because there's people out there who can explain that to you better than I can, and this is just mostly more about the press itself. So let's get into it. Like I said, it's on the internet. There are various configurations of it. This one, the case and components are painted black, and from what I can discern, that is only for the 120, 110, 120 versions. If it has a green, like the color of the button here, the green exterior, typically that seems to be a 220 model, so it runs on 220, 240. The stats on it vary depending on which website you're looking at. Like, you can look at 10 different websites and they will all give you different stats on its wattage and ampage and everything else, how much pressure it can say or put down onto the plates. Something else you'll find in all the advertising is that it says that the pressure is adjustable. What they mean by that, and they're kind of playing fast and loose in the descriptions there, is they mean that it's adjustable by you cranking the wheel. It has nothing to do with the electronic components at all. There is no measurement of how much pressure you have at the plates. It is all done by the wheel and the mechanical advantage. If you're great with math, which I am not, you can go online and with the radius and the pitch of the threads and the throw and all that kind of stuff, you can figure out exactly how much pressure you will get at the plates. Not really my style, but if that's your cup of tea, go for it. So this one is actually marked. It has on the side, it's 900 watts at 5 amps, 110 volts, 60 hertz. Like I said, on the websites you'll see anywhere from 1,000 to 500 watts. It varies. The outside of the machine and the look of it is all the same, but each one of them give you a different version. The website I got it from said 1,000 watts. The plate on the side says 900 watts, so I'm going to go with 900 watts. It has your controls on the front, which you can turn on. Operating it is fairly easy. You have 2 digital displays on the front. You have 3 keys each. This button here is for your timer. On off, pretty self-explanatory. To set it, you will press the set button once, and then you choose the temperature you want for the plate. And I've set it at 220 for this one. You press the set button again for the amount of seconds you want it to run. Just for ease of use and not to waste your time, I put it at 10 seconds on this one. And then you hold it down, hold the set button down to go back to operating screen. The same with this one, with one difference. The timer on this one doesn't actually count down or set off the alarm. It's only this one. You don't need double timers. You need individual temperatures you can set. So you can set the temperature on this side for whatever you want, and then it'll allow you to change the seconds for the timer, but you don't really need to. So once you have that all set up, you're pretty much ready to rock. You press the green button, the plates will be closed down. You press the green button, it counts down. About 5 seconds before the timer is supposed to be done, it starts to alert you, and then after it shuts off. So press the green button again to reset the timer back to normal. We're going to show you here real quickly the differences and what happens when you turn the timer on and off. As you can see, it is not exactly accurate. You can test it with multiple different thermometers, and unless it's one that's like probably fairly expensive and guaranteed to be accurate, calibrated and whatnot, you're going to get different responses. Everybody knows that. That's kind of normal. So and even you'll get different readings at different times with the same thermometers. It just seems to be the way it is. So this one's currently reading 97.3 when it's supposed to be 102 and 101, and I'm just going to show you what happens when you press the timer button, just so clear up any misconceptions that the timer button actually turns the temperature on to the plates, which it doesn't. So okay, it's been on for 10 seconds now, and you can see there has been no real change in it. The fluctuation happened when I pressed the timer button. Probably some sort of power draw within the unit itself caused temporary fluctuation, but it isn't actually changing the temperature of the plates at all. It's just running down a timer. That's all it does. So yeah, that's how that works. So once again, individual temperatures can be adjusted, individual timers can be adjusted, but only one timer is going to function for you. So that's pretty much the timer section in a nutshell. One thing I did forget to mention is that this can get a little sticky after it's heated up several times, heated and cooled. So you will probably need to find some sort of a high temperature lubricant to put on there. Doesn't really have to be high temperature, but I would probably run that way. And if you're worried about cross-contamination or whatever, you could use like a cooking oil, a high temperature cooking oil, not like a extra virgin or extra virgin olive oil, like a salad oil. You want something that deep fryer type oil, right? So if you put that on there, it'll make it easier to use. It's not hard by any means when it gets sticky, but a little smoother is nicer, right? So yeah, so when you first fire it up to start it, and with each run that you plan to do, whether it be for pressing labels or for making rosin, it doesn't matter, crank it all the way down so that the plates are touching, and when the plates are touching, it'll heat up more evenly and faster. So you're getting the combination of both of them working together as opposed to each individually. And then after that, you can crank it back up and start your runs, put your label and hat in there, or put your paper and whatnot in there. It takes a little while to heat up. Like I said, if you put them together, they go much faster. And the plates themselves are approximately 2.5 inches by 5 inches. It's actually just a little over and a little under. So it gives you a fairly decent workspace if you're doing standard runs. If you're doing something on a commercial basis, then you're going to want something bigger, obviously. Not what I needed, so I went with this version. I also went with this version because, well, one, the price, and two, that I really like the idea of the wheel. It just kind of seems, I don't know, cool. Old submarine, old battleship kind of style, you know what I mean? To speed things up, you can go to your automotive store or even an online retailer website and buy what's called a suicide knob. They were used in cars, old cars and trucks. They're illegal in most places now for automotive uses, but you can still use them on tractors, and for this application, it's just a knob that fits on the top, and it allows you to spin down much faster. So it won't actually help you get more pressure. You wouldn't use it to actually do your pressing, but you could use it to bring it down to the press point and then back up from the press point a lot faster, as opposed to having to turn the wheel. It just makes everything a lot faster, so easier in that way. What else can I tell you about it? It has detachable plates, so you can actually unscrew these, and they're very similar to what you would have found on an old CB radio in a truck or whatever, rig, car, truck, whatever. And you can actually detach both of them. So if you wanted to, like I said, make some modifications or take them off, put them in another vise or press or something, you can do that quite easily. Also handy for storage. You don't have those sticking out of the back put it against a wall or whatnot. So once those are secured back on, go into your power cord here. It is your standard like computer monitor style old desktop PC. They're common now with just about everything that's coming out of China, so very easy. If you lose one or break one, you can replace it pretty quick and fast. You don't have to go special order or anything. Also, your fuse is back here, and it pops out with the use of a screwdriver or whatever. You use a little clip down there, and it's a standard half-size glass vial, like the old automotive style, but they're now being used in a lot of new electronics that are coming out. Soldering irons, reworking stations, presses, rosin presses, label presses, all that kind of thing. They usually have that glass vial as opposed to the newer plastic automotive ones. The machine itself is actually quite skookum. It is, it's robust. It's not chintzy by any means, so I don't know if you can actually hear that, but it is a fairly solid metal. The stainless steel bars on the side are also fairly solid. This one here is solid. The wheel is a good quality as well. You get a little play in the screw that goes up and down. That's just because it's not tight against these upright stainless steel bars, so it gives you a little movement there. Nothing to worry about. The one thing you do have to worry about with this setup is that if you put your product on one side or the other and it's not centered in the middle here, you will end up with twisting, and that's because the pressure on this side is greater than on this side, and it's a single post, right? If it was a dual post down, then it wouldn't matter, but try and keep the bulk of your work in the center of the workspace, and then you won't have any problems. It doesn't create a problem really for the machine, but it does make the product in the workspace more compressed in one area than the other, so the chances of you missing your end product coming out greater. So you don't want that. You don't want to screw it up and have one side thicker and the other side all pressed out, and then there still be some remaining in the other, right? So just make it easy on yourself and try and keep it all in the center there. The one thing I have not been able to find out is if you hold the set button down, you get this, and it is adjustable from 0 to 99, I believe it was, but I have not been able to figure out what that does. It is not in the user manual, it's not on the website, it's not on anywhere, any of the question boards and whatnot. So if you actually know what this is and what this does, it's on both sides. If you know what that is, please leave a comment in the section below, because I would love to know what it does. So as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to do anything that I use the machine for, but if it does and I'm just, missing out, please fill me in. Out of the box, you're going to get a couple things with it. They will give you some mounting bolts, run-of-the-mill bolts. You can pick them up anywhere. If you're like me, you got boxes of the damn things. That's to mount it to whatever surface you're putting it on. It's not necessary to mount it to any surface. You can use it here on just a normal flat surface and brace it to get the optimum crank level down, the pressure, but it's not ideal. It's awkward to try and find a spot that's not really hot to get leverage to actually turn the wheel and crank it down. So for your best results, you are going to want to mount this down, whether you clamp it to a flat surface or build a jig with a couple of wood slats so it doesn't have the ability to move. If you can't actually drill through the surface and mount it to anything, there are workarounds. The wooden slats on the side so that it kind of nests right in nice and tight works really well, as long as you come up only to the bottom of the readouts there. Another thing is these stickers, they seem to fall off relatively quickly, so it would be my suggestion when you first get it, get some good quality clear tape and just tape them in place before you start running the machine. That way you'll be assured that the stickers are going to stay on, because if they fall off and you're not noticing and you're new to the machine or whatever, you might not remember where everything is. So just an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure kind of a deal. The other thing, you get a small instruction manual, and I mean small, it is, can't even call it a manual, it's more of a pamphlet, and it's very basic. The English isn't bad, so that's a bonus on that one. Give them 2 thumbs up for that. And you will get 2 little glass fuses. Not sure if you can see that in there, but yeah, you will get 2 of them, and they, like I said, fit in the back there. So be careful when you take that back plate off, because the clips can break. I've seen it in other people's tools, presses and whatnot, other tools I have, to be honest. They do break off quite easily. So whether you're pressing labels or hats, rosin, whatever you decide to do with it, other plants, extracting different rosins from them and whatnot, if you are so inclined, you can make a pretty kick-ass batch of s'mores on here, or a rockin' grilled cheese Sani. 1001 uses. Stick it on your desk, use it for, s'mores night, have movie night. It has multiple uses. So if you have any questions or comments, want to know something more about it, and etc., please drop me a line in those comments. As always, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. At least like, hit the notification bell. I do various things, it's all quite random, but generally things I find useful. We've got a lot of diverse interests, so yeah, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Take care.